I sat in my rusted old car, the smell of damp seats filling my lungs as I watched the city lights flicker through the cracked windshield. Rain pounded the metal roof like insults I'd heard 1,000 times, especially from him. My ex used to laugh every time he saw me driving this car. "You look like a stray dog living in that thing," he'd smirk, flicking his perfect hair back while sliding into his luxury SUV. Back then, his words clung to me like the mold growing beneath my dashboard. But I didn't scream. I didn't fight back. I smiled quietly, holding the steering wheel tighter, promising myself this wasn't the end of my story. Because what he didn't know was that every broken thing I owned was just waiting to bloom. And this car, this forgotten metal shell, was about to become the soil for his downfall. I sat in my rusted old car, the smell of damp seats filling my lungs as I watched the city lights flicker through the cracked windshield. Rain pounded the metal roof like insults I'd heard 1,000 times, especially from him. My ex used to laugh every time he saw me driving this car. "You look like a stray dog living in that thing," he'd smirk, flicking his perfect hair back while sliding into his luxury SUV. Back then, his words clung to me like the mold growing beneath my dashboard. But I didn't scream. I didn't fight back. I smiled quietly, holding the steering wheel tighter, promising myself this wasn't the end of my story. Because what he didn't know was that every broken thing I owned was just waiting to bloom. And this car, this forgotten metal shell, was about to become the soil for his downfall. Weeks turned into months, and I devoted every spare moment to a secret project no one suspected. While he flaunted his shiny office and smug smile, I was researching, planning, and investing what little I had left into restoring that broken-down car, not to drive, but to transform the property where it sat. The lot behind the garage was mine, inherited from a distant relative who'd always believed I'd one day make something of myself. The car was the key, not for what it was, but for what it could become. A symbol of my resilience, a quiet middle finger to his arrogance. I hired experts, took out small loans, and with every repair, every paint stroke, I felt my spirit strengthen. The broken metal began to gleam under my care, and the empty space beside it slowly turned into something new, a workspace, an office, a haven. I imagined his shock when he'd find himself paying rent to a woman he once belittled. But that was far away. A future still hidden behind sweat and silent determination. No one saw the fire building inside me. No one heard the whispered promise that justice was near. The day I'd reclaim power would come, and it would come quietly, but with unstoppable force. Every morning, I arrived at the lot before dawn, the cold biting through my jacket, the city still asleep as I unlocked the rusty gate. The car, once a symbol of shame, was now the centerpiece of a new dream. I called in favors, negotiated with contractors, and learned more about real estate and business than I ever thought I could. The office space took shape, walls rising steadily, windows framing the skyline like a promise. I never told anyone what I was doing, especially not him. To the world, I was still that woman with the broken car, underestimated and overlooked. But inside, I was reborn. Each nail hammered a step closer to justice. Late nights were spent poring over contracts, planning the official opening, and imagining the moment when his smug face would fade into disbelief. This wasn't just about money. It was about proving to myself that being underestimated was the greatest weapon I had. That broken car. It was the foundation of my comeback. Silent, steady, unstoppable. One rainy afternoon, I heard he was searching desperately for office space. His company hit by sudden financial troubles no one saw coming. Rumors whispered through the city, investors pulling back, debts stacking up. And there I was, sitting behind the reception desk of my newly finished office building, watching the phone ring. When his assistant called, I kept my voice calm, steady. "We have a vacancy," I said softly. right where your old office used to be." The irony was almost poetic. He, who once mocked my broken car, now asked to rent space in the very place that symbolized my resilience. I could feel the weight of years of silent endurance settling into this moment. No confrontations, no loud accusations. Just the quiet satisfaction of watching the underestimated woman rewrite the rules. The rent agreement was signed, and with every payment, I felt a little more alive, a little more victorious. The car that once symbolized defeat had become a throne, my silent empire. The first time he walked through the doors of my office, I almost didn't recognize the man who once sneered at me from his luxury SUV. His sharp suit was a little less crisp, his confident stride slowed by worries he couldn't hide. I greeted him with a polite smile, no bitterness, no triumph in my voice. Inside, the office gleamed with quiet elegance, walls adorned with achievements born from relentless work and quiet nights. He took the corner office, the one with the best view, and I watched as his gaze landed on the parking lot, where the restored car sat gleaming under the sun. He remembered, of course. How could he forget? Every monthly rent check was a reminder of the past he thought he owned. And yet, here he was, paying tribute to the woman he once tried to break. Silent, strong, unstoppable. I had risen without noise, and that was my true victory. Months passed, and the rhythm of payments became a steady soundtrack to my new life. Every rent check was a quiet reminder that power had shifted. Yet, I never gloated. My revenge was not in loud celebrations or confrontations. It was in the silent endurance that had carried me through years of humiliation and doubt. I focused on growing the business, welcoming tenants, building a reputation grounded in resilience and integrity. Occasionally, I caught glimpses of him struggling behind the glass walls, the weight of his past mistakes etched deeper into his face. He tried to keep his distance, but I knew he felt the pull of what I had built. This wasn't just about a car or a building. It was about reclaiming my story, rewriting the narrative that once defined me. I didn't scream. I smiled, and that was the loudest statement I could make. One day, at a routine company meeting, I watched him stumble over numbers, his usual confidence replaced by anxiety. Investors questioned his decisions, and whispers of bankruptcy floated through the room like ghosts from the past. I felt no joy in his struggles, only a quiet satisfaction that the universe had its way. In that moment, I realized my journey wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. The justice of a woman underestimated, silenced, and pushed aside, finally standing tall. Her voice heard through actions, not words. My broken car, once a symbol of mockery, had become a monument to endurance. The office it guarded was a testament to transformation. And the man who mocked me? Now, he was part of the story I controlled. They expected me to disappear. I didn't. There were nights when the weight of everything threatened to crush me. The memories of humiliation, the loneliness of rebuilding from scratch, the sting of watching him rise while I struggled. But in those dark moments, I found strength in silence. I whispered promises to myself, vows that this broken car, this cracked lot, would become the foundation of my unstoppable comeback. And slowly, brick by brick, I built more than an office. I built a fortress of self-worth and resilience. The pain never disappeared, but it transformed, becoming fuel for my silent revolution. Now, when I see him walking through those doors, I don't see the man who mocked me. I see a reflection of everything I overcame. The woman he tried to break now holds the power to decide how this story ends. At the company's annual gala, I watched from the sidelines as he nervously greeted guests, his smile tight and forced. The room buzzed with whispers of his decline. But I remained calm, poised like the woman who had endured storms without a single scream. When it was my turn to speak, I stepped onto the stage with quiet confidence, sharing my journey, not as a tale of vengeance, but as a story of rebirth. The crowd listened, captivated by the resilience behind my eyes, the woman who turned mockery into momentum, broken metal into opportunity. And as I concluded, I saw him in the crowd, eyes fixed on me, realizing that the broken car was never just a car. It was the seed of my unstoppable rise. They expected me to disappear. I didn't. In the months that followed, I expanded the office space, adding new rooms, welcoming fresh faces, entrepreneurs, artists, dreamers who, like me, had stories of quiet struggle and fierce determination. My little empire grew, not just in walls and tenants, but in spirit. Each success was a whisper to the past, a nod to the woman who refused to be broken. My ex, still paying rent, became a silent witness to my rise, trapped in the space he once mocked. The broken car sat polished in the parking lot, a symbol of endurance, a monument to every moment I chose strength over surrender. I never needed to shout. My victory was in every steady step forward, every calm breath taken after storms of humiliation. This was justice, silent, powerful, and utterly unstoppable. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, I stood outside the office, running my hand over the smooth hood of the restored car. Memories of his cruel laughter echoed faintly, but they no longer held power. I thought about the journey, the quiet tears, the late nights, the endless work, and how each moment had forged me into someone stronger, wiser, unstoppable. The office wasn't just a building, and the car wasn't just a relic. They were trophies of resilience, a testament to a woman who was humiliated but refused to be defeated. And as the lights inside flickered on, casting a warm glow, I smiled. They expected me to disappear. I didn't. The quiet power I'd built wasn't just about reclaiming what was mine. It was about inspiring others who felt small, unseen, and broken. I started hosting workshops in the office, sharing my story with women who'd been underestimated, ridiculed, or left behind. Their eyes filled with hope, their hands clenched with determination. Each session was a reminder that the loudest victories aren't always shouted from rooftops, but whispered through resilience and quiet strength. My ex's shadow loomed less and less, replaced by a community of unstoppable women ready to rewrite their own stories. The car, once a symbol of failure, was now a beacon, a silent rallying cry for all who dared to rise, and in that silence, I found my true voice. The day came when he tried to negotiate a lower rent, hoping to squeeze every last cent from me. I listened carefully, voice calm but firm, outlining the terms clearly. This was no longer about money. It was about respect, the respect he never showed me. I reminded him, silently, that every payment was a tribute to the woman he underestimated, the woman who rebuilt from ruins. He left the meeting quieter than usual, and I watched him go, knowing the balance of power had shifted irreversibly. The car gleamed outside, silent and proud, as if standing guard over my victory. I didn't need to raise my voice to make him understand. My success was loud enough. Looking back now, I see how every moment of humiliation, every sneer he threw at me, was just fuel for this fire inside. The broken car, the mockery, the silence, they all shaped the woman who refused to disappear. Today, I own more than just a building or a car. I own my story, my power, and my peace. He pays rent to the woman he once tried to break, and every check is a quiet reminder. I didn't disappear. I rose, unstoppable, unshaken, and reborn. This is my silent victory, and the best part, it's just the beginning. Thank you for watching until the end. If you've ever lived through something similar, share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes the loudest impact is made in silence.